Yetta, we're so different. How do we manage to thrive in our relationship?
Sometimes we don't. When we do, it's because we made it fun. We somehow go to a place that's enjoyable, right?
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
Yes.
And so we're excited that we've created for you free access to over 587 episodes where we share insider tips, how to make house home, how to make great real estate decisions. And in general, the great news is you can get access to them from home, from the office, or on the go. And I like being on the go. And yet, what we're going to think about and really explore in this segment is when we're on the go too much in our mind, when it's going too fast and going all over the place, we can't actually go the places that we need to go.
Oh, the places they'll go.
Right. Like, think about that great Dr. Seuss book. I love that book. It's one of my favorites. I bought it as an adult. I probably have almost as big a library, not quite, of kids' books that I like to read versus adult books because they open up the imagination. They give space.
That's telling our listeners a lot about you.
That's okay. I'm happy for you to know that.
Because there's a message and it's always playful.
And there's room inside. It's not like chocked full of information. Often there's room for the imagination to run. The pictures create the ability. The lack of the number of words often creates the ability, and you can truly imagine things. So what we're really exploring is how do we open up space, like kind of have void. We're calling it boredom, but how do we have void in our minds? Because when there's void, new things can show up.
Do you remember on Focus on the Family, there was they had that animated story. It's radio, so it's audible.
Odyssey? Adventures in Odyssey?
Adventures in Odyssey. And what did they have? The Imagination Station. I thought that was so cool.
It was incredible. And where's your imagination station? Like, would you even have a space? We have a space to go to. And I actually got into big trouble on the weekend.
Did you ever?
Right.
And I wasn't home to help you.
He wasn't home, and I was almost in tears. I was 2 hours. I know this doesn't sound catastrophic, but it was catastrophic for me. I'd agreed to go visit a client who needed some friend support. Ken was at the National Association of Realtors conference, so I didn't have any obligations to him at home, didn't feel like I was leaving him, so I figured I'd go and spend the day and had committed to it ages ago. And then when it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, I said I'd go about noon, be there for noon. I started looking for my phone, for my device, because I'm still on call. I still got to work a little bit. Could not find it anywhere. I looked for 2 hours until I was now an hour late, actually an hour and 15 late by the time I finally found it.
They can probably guess where it was.
You think so?
Yeah.
It was in a wrong place. It was in a place that phones aren't allowed to go in our house because it's the tranquility room. It's our imagination station. It's our tranquility room, our imagination station, our prayer room, where we don't bring the phone because then we can't get busy or sidetracked. And in fact, the mind is often blank, not blank in a bad way, but there's room in it.
How about an open slate?
A blank slate.
Okay.
Blank slate? No, that doesn't sound good either. Anyway, there's room in my mind for things to land. And I actually recommitted that it will not go in there. It only lives in 4 different spaces in our home, and that's not one of them.
So it only took 2 hours.
2 hours and 15
total
minutes.
Frustration.
And I was like,
to recommit to a commitment we made.
I know,
I
right?
like it.
Sometimes that's the case. And I was praying. I
love you more now.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a mess. So I was praying and I said, okay, Lord, like an hour and 45 minutes in, I finally thought, okay, prayer is a good choice here. So okay, help me, because I don't want to cancel. I was thinking I wasn't going to go see her. I knew it was the wrong choice, but I couldn't leave without it because I knew there was work things to do and it was on my device. And so I finally started praying. And when I found it in the tranquility room, I put it on top of the arm of Ken's chair which was kind of ironic. And it had slid partway between the seat and the arm of the chair, which is why I couldn't find it, even though I had checked out that room, which means I shouldn't have had to check it out because I should never have been in there. Anyway, so with it, I should be in there, just not with the device. Mm-hmm. So where do you go to create that sense of openness to let things have room to grow? That's really the conversation. Yeah.
And also, can you draw it out in others? Like, have you ever been in a room with someone else and both of you are bored?
Yep. Oh, sorry. Did I say that too fast and too loud? There are times where you think we have nothing in common. They're not my kind of people. They're lovely people, great person, and just not my people. So now I'm kind of bored. They're thinking the same thing about you, probably. Yeah. And you're both sitting there.
So the best example of using questions to relieve that or to alleviate that awkwardness sometimes of non-conversation.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not knowing what to say.
Yeah. So we met a new person. His name was Ken. Great name, great person.
Everybody ought to have one, as I say.
If they're a Ken, they got to be good.
Yep.
And he was an actor, and he's retired now, but was an actor. And so he's super animated. And he would ask us questions about like how we met. Like he's starting to discover who we are and what our history is. And so he would ask questions like where you met, and then we'd tell a little bit of the story. And he'd kind of repeat it back in a very gregarious, funny way. So this happened really, and that happened, and tell me more about that. And then, and what happened next? And so he's super animated, super engaged with us, asking fun questions. And it just created a almost relaxation, like it took away all the stress of not knowing somebody, right?
And made it more comfortable. And because you're an introvert, and I have a lot of introvert tendencies too, even though people don't always believe that. You have introvert tendencies. No labeling. No labeling allowed in this room. And it can be harder to initiate a question or a conversation with a new person. Mm-hmm. And so you're sitting in boredom for no good reason. And that's maybe not the time to go into your own zone because the person next to you might feel a little awkward. So how do you, in the boredom, draw each other out?
Yeah.
And I think questions playfully engaging can be a very nice way to do it, and not like an interrogation thing.
No,
I used to be that girl that would interrogate, not meaningfully, and maybe you, like me, have been on a journey and now do things much softer than you might have at one
when
time.
We're not soft is when we're arguing, fighting.
Why are we telling that?
Because sometimes it happens, and I'm just all about telling the truth, the whole truth. And there was a time a while back where we were having a disagreement for quite a period of time. And you came up to me at the stairwell, and, I'm thinking, she's going to push me down
and I was
stairs.
Thinking I might want to do that, right? So instead
she goes, well, why are you letting your 5-year-old run your life or something like that? And I said, because your 4-year-old's coming out to play. And then we started laughing, and that was the end of the argument, right?
And we didn't even know what it was about, right? At play. And so imagination, boredom, play, they all kind of fit together in this beautiful, harmonious symphony.
Harmonious symphony. I was thinking more like is it a gyroscope that you turn and the colors change, but they're kind of
kaleidoscope.
A kaleidoscope. That's the word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're so good for me.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think? The quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. The playfulness of the question determines the playfulness of the answer, probably.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
Right. All right, so your 4-year-old, do you want to bring your 4-year-old?
No, I just want to say thank you. We love that we get to journey together, building generational legacy and wealth.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.